Hello there, welcome to lesson number 9 in our series on creating bracelets using FluidDesigner for 3D printing. Today's lesson we're going to show you how you can create a decagonal, that's a 10-sided bracelet, using some built-in functions that we've created for you in FluidDesigner, whereby you use a Bezier Curve and a Bezier Circle that are linked together. And the key thing is that the Bezier Circle has actually been modified into a decagon, a 10-sided shape. So if you start off FluidDesigner, the object that we're going to use in today's lesson is available under 3D templates, cross sections, and if you scroll down and drag and drop that object onto the workspace, you can use that template to create a range of objects, not just vases. So if you have a look at this has got 10 sides, it's a decagon, and it's got a Bezier curve down the side. But one of the things to notice about this one is that this is sort of curved in shape, whereas the object we're going to do is much more straight, and that's because the object we're going to use, the handle type has been changed from automatic to vector. But other than that, this object is the same object we're going to use in today's lesson. So if we go to the Learning Projects, Jewellery Projects, Bracelets folder, just open up that window slightly. We're doing lesson number 9. So if we drag and drop 09 onto the workspace, this is the object that we're going to use to create our decagonal, our 10-sided bracelet. So as you can see at the top there, it has in fact got 10 sides. So I'll just view from the front again. Press the home button just to center it off. Now what have we got here? Well, there are two objects here. There's this yellow line down the side, which is a Bezier curve, which can be added to the workspace from here, from this menu, and that is linked, joined together with a Bezier circle, which can be added from here. Now you can't just place these two objects on the workspace, you have to do a little bit more work, which is why we've done it for you and why we've created these templates for you. Save you the hard work. So we need to now click on the Bezier curve on the left of the object, and you know the curve is selected, it tells you here, but also this circle is offset to the left. When the main body of the object is selected, the circle is right in the middle. When the Bezier curve is selected, the object is on the left. Now we want to resize and reshape this object, so we need to go into edit mode by pressing the tab key on the keyboard. So if I press tab on the keyboard, that will take me into edit mode. Now if you look at these 5 control points, each of the control points, as we select it, the location of it is identified here in the transform panel. This object, this control point, for example, the Y value is 0 and the X is -3. -3 means to the left of the Z axis. This control point is -2 to the left of the Z axis, but it's also 10 millimeters upwards. This one is -5 from the Z axis and 5 millimeters upwards. So here is a distance of 10 millimeters, here is also a distance of 10, so the total height of this object at the moment is 20 millimeters, and we're going to suggest that you leave it at that. So I'm just going to scroll out at the moment. I think I'm just going to switch off the snap. Now if we drag the x-axis outwards, we can resize our object. Don't drag the y-axis at all, just try and leave that as it is, because we want to create a bracelet today in today's lesson, and a typical size for a bracelet might be 60 millimeters diameter. So we could drag this out until this value is -30, -30 being this distance here. So if that's -30, this is +30, the position of this point here. So the total length there would be 60 millimeters, or almost 60 millimeters in this value here. Now it's a good idea when creating jewellery to have exact values, so we would suggest you click in that control point value and type -30 millimeters. So the internal diameter of our bracelet is going to be approximately 60 millimeters. And we need to do that with all the control points. So -30 millimeters for the next control point, -30 millimeters for the next control point, and the next one, don't forget the mm for millimeters, and -30 millimeters. So there we are, we've created the outline profile of our bracelet and giving it a diameter of approximately 60 millimeters. But one of the key things is that all these points are lined up. Whoops. Just trying to scroll across the toolbar there and go to view and front. So they're all in line. Now once we're happy with that size, what we can do is we can come out of edit mode, and if we now click on the main body of the object itself, oh dear, I'm not going to be able to select it, am I? Okay, that's the main body of it selected, the bracelet. This is actually a curve at the moment and we can't print curves, so in FluidDesigner to change a curve into a mesh we go to Tools, Object Tools and convert it to a mesh. Now if we click on the Bezier Curve on the left hand side again and go into edit mode, you'll notice that we cannot actually edit this object anymore. The Bezier Curve and the Bezier Circle are not linked anymore, so we can't change it anymore. So what we need to do is press Tab key to come out of edit mode, and if we just press the X key on the keyboard we can delete that Bezier curve on the side, and now we can focus in on the main body of the object. Now as you can see at the moment, this is it's got no thickness, this object, it's just the shell. But what we're going to do now is we're going to convert this into a kind of wireframe bracelet, and we can do that by going to the modifiers icon on the toolbar, and if we click add modifier and create a wireframe out of this object, a wireframe, that's what FluidDesigner will do to it. It will take out the individual faces around the object and you'll just be left with this wireframe. And in the help instructions further down here it does tell you to set the thickness at 0.02, so it's not really got any thickness as such. Set the offset at 0 and have an even thickness for this wireframe. Now clearly we can't print that wireframe, so we've also got to add another modifier now, a solidify modifier, and you should have come across solidify modifier before this lesson, and we want to set a thickness of 2 millimeters, set the offset to 0 and tick for an even thickness of the object. So 2 millimeters thickness, that will be a printable element, and that's the kind of bracelet that we're going to end up with. Now to confirm the modifiers in FluidDesigner we always go to Tools, Object Tools and Convert to a Mesh. That will apply them and they'll disappear from the Properties panel. So there's our wireframe decagonal 10-sided bracelet. The next thing that we might want to do is to just resize the inside of it slightly. So if we go to View and Top and just zoom in on it, we could use the interactive ruler to measure this dimension here. That's 53 millimeters. So let's say that we actually wanted an internal diameter of say 50 millimeters for our bracelet. What we could do is we could add a mesh and add a cylinder to the center of this workspace. Now the cylinder at the moment is pretty small, it's only 2 millimeters by 2, so if we change that to 50 millimeters diameter, 50 millimeters diameter, and we'll just give it a little bit of height as well. You can see there's the cylinder in the middle of the bracelet, and what we want to do is to scale the bracelet down so that it just fits around the outside of the cylinder. So go to View and Top again. And the way that we scale in FluidDesigner is highlight the object you want to scale, so in this case the bracelet, and we can press the S key on the keyboard, to scale, and just move the mouse in until it just skims the edge of the cylinder. That way we've resized the bracelet down now, so it's got an internal diameter of 50 millimeters. Now whenever you scale in FluidDesigner, you must always open up this toolbox window, T on the keyboard, or press the arrow, the plus sign at the top there. These vector values are not set at 1. That means you've just scaled something, so you must always apply the scale in FluidDesigner. So you do that by doing Control A and applying the scale. If you don't do that, you will have problems printing. Now we can now delete this cylinder. We don't need that. We only used it to size our bracelet. So highlight it and then press X and delete. Here's our bracelet now. So what we want to do is to save that. So as usual in FluidDesigner, go to File and Save As. Just go up through the menu system. Go to Jewellery Projects, Bracelets, and save the Blender file 09 Parametric Decagonal Bracelet. Now you can't print Blender files, so as is usual you need to export it in a printable format, and we use wavefront object format, and we like to save it to the desktop. So it's 09 Parametric Decagonal Bracelet. We can export that to the desktop, and if we go to Netfab Basic now, we can run some checks on this and see how this object is. So we go to the desktop, and it's the Parametric Decagonal Bracelet, and we can open it up. Now this warning red triangle is telling us that there are some issues with this, and the red is telling us that there are some issues, and what it is that we've got some faces facing the wrong direction. Now we're going to try and fix it in Netfab Basic. So if we go to Extras and Repair the Part, and I'll just move the window across and update, you'll see there's no edge problems, orientation or holes. So if we run the automatic repair and execute it, and then apply the repair and remove the old part, we've still got this same problem. We've still got this warning red triangle. Now sometimes in Netfab, when we go to Part and Export and save it, so we want to save it as 09 Parametric Decagonal Bracelet repaired by Netfab Basic. Sometimes when you do that, it actually fixes it. Now in this instance, it hasn't fixed it. There are still some issues. And so the solution to this is actually to go on the internet. And I should have had my browser loaded. I forgot to load it. So I need to just reposition my browser in the screen grabber for you there. And so if you go onto the internet, what you need to do is to go to the Netfab Model Repair Service. So if you Google Netfab Cloud, so it's powered by Netfab. The address is modelrepair.azurewebsites.net. Now you need to register yourself as a user on this site, which is free to do. And if you sign in and then upload the file that we've just created, that we've just saved from Netfab Basic, this version of Netfab is does a few other tricks to the files, and it will reorientate the faces for you and actually fix it. Now I did this earlier, and so if I just go to File and New in FluidDesigner, and if I go to File and Import a wavefront object from the desktop, I'm going to import this file, and it's 09 Parametric Decagonal Bracelet. It was repaired by Netfab Basic, and then it was fixed by Netfab Cloud. And if I import that object, and just my system just being a little bit funny today. So yeah, there's the file that I've saved, and run through NetFab in the cloud. And because NetFab in the cloud has repaired it, this is now in a printable file format. So if NetFab in the cloud can't fix it, it will tell you it can't do so, and you won't get a printable file. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of this particular lesson, creating this decagonal bracelet. Thank you.